Howdy ho, folks. We'll be starting in just a few moments. Yeah, started a little bit late. Would have liked to have started like at least 90 minutes ago, but I'm a procrastinator and it leads me to getting way too little sleep because I start my streams way too late. It's a weekend, so I can sleep in, right? Well, no. Young kids, you know. Have you watched any of the videos of this yet, Travis? Mine or anyone else's? It's a very interesting game, I will say that. I'm curious to see how it all shakes out. It's supposed to come out on the 27th, I think, so we're pretty close, but cool. Oh, come on. Last time all right, one sec. For whatever reason, the demo tends to crash whenever I watch the intro all the way through if I'm streaming, but it seems to only happen if I'm streaming. So let's skip through this and see. Seriously? Strange. Let's do this. Literally was in this game like 20 minutes ago and everything was fine. Just verifying the integrity of the game files, then we'll start. Make sure there's no duplicate task running in the background here. No, all looks good. You better work for me now, damn it. There we go. Okay. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Or not weekend, God, just week. Weekend is starting. It's been a long week. Why does it do that? Hey, Peter, or Pete's, sorry. It's interesting that the music volume's at 0% and yet I still hear the music. All right, we're going to start in about 1 minute. Bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum bum. Why does it do that? It's annoying. Gonna pull one thing up and then we'll get started. No, that's not what I wanted. Alright, so dropping phones. I don't know why that just slipped off the edge of the desk. Cool. Alright, I think we're ready. Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to the upcoming game by Dry Dock Dream Games, published by Microprose, called Task Force Admiral. This is the demo, which is available on Steam, but the game is releasing, at least what they've announced so far, I believe January 27th in its full early access form. So I haven't really looked into everything that is launching on that date, but obviously more than the demo. We have played through the scenario. There's two scenarios that they provide. They're really variants of each other. There's the historical second day of Coral Sea scenario of Cranes and Patriots. And then there's the Cranes, Patriots, and Friends, which is a fictional version of the Coral Sea where the Kaga shows up on day 2 of the battle. But we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be trying the battle generator, which I assume will fight very similarly to the variant that we played, but with the added benefit of our carrier air groups being at full strength. So if we go here, we can choose to have 2 friendly carriers. Friendly air skill, some of you were asking previously, does like pilot skill matter in the game? And yes, there are different levels of pilot skill. So you can have good, average, poor, and then you can also have very good and elite and random. So if you do random, does it just say... It's hard to say with absolute certainty how good they'll perform. So I think we'll keep it at good, which is, I believe, the default. Access or enemy threat access, I guess we'll do random so we don't know where they're coming. We will do 3 enemy carriers, so we will be outnumbered. We'll keep the enemy air skill the same as ours just because they're going to have an extra carrier of aircraft as well. So to have them also be much better than us, even if it might be realistic, not necessarily what I want to do. Wind, I guess we'll do random too. Cloud cover, let's do very cloudy, which I assume will make it hard to locate the enemy carrier group, but may also make it harder for them. Well, let's just do cloudy. So we can spot them, but it may be harder for them to spot us too. So we'll do that. It starts at 500 hours, so just before sunset, Coral Sea. So it's still the Coral Sea map And we'll do record tact view here. I'll create a file at the end of the game. It can be large. I assume I have sufficient space. I don't know. We'll find out. All right. So yeah. Now I feel like I have to double check my memory. I'm pretty sure I've got plenty of space. Sometimes when you're rendering and doing a lot of videos, it causes you to lose more space than you realize. All right, so let's go ahead and start, I guess. So we've got 2 carriers. Actually, let's read the briefing. You're in command of Task Force 17, centered around the fleet carriers USS Yorktown and Lexington, currently cruising in the South Pacific with our air groups composed of 2 24 F4F fighters, so 48 fighters, because we got a full, unlike the scenario we had been playing, we have a full complement of fighters, a full squadron on each carrier. That's 48 F4Fs total. So that's like 20 more or 15 more than we had to start the last scenario. 80 SBD dive bombers, again, more than we had in the last scenario, and 30 TBD torpedo bombers. So all told, between the 2 carriers, we have, what is that? 80, 30, that's 110, 158 aircraft. The enemy is going to have 3 air wings of themselves, so we're probably looking at over 300-ish aircraft all told between the 5 carriers. Presumably they've got like 200 at least, and we've got our 150 or so. All right. Although actual combat experience has been lacking, the proficiency of your squadron is deemed adequate and in line with the highest standards of peacetime training. Their skill, honed on the past few weeks through relentless training and realistic conditions, will now be put to the test in combat for the first time. As they face a real enemy in the air, the upcoming engagement will be a truer measure of their readiness. And so these briefings change based on the settings you choose here. Unfortunately, we lack adequate intelligence regarding the current position of the enemy. That's because we change it to random. If we do north, that would like change what direction, or sorry, that's wind. If we were to change the threat axis and say it was north, it would say, according to our latest reports, the enemy carriers are positioned north. But because we're going to do random, we won't know. So there is that. The enemy carrier force currently cruising in the area is believed to be composed of 3 units, possibly Carrier Division 5, with its newer Shokaku class carriers, along with additional support provided by a light carrier. Oh, a light carrier? So it's not going to be Kaga? Okay. Well, still, they'll outnumber us. This will result in very heavy air opposition, with a significant number of nimble Zero fighters providing cover for the enemy bombers. Prepare for a challenging confrontation with the overwhelming air resistance. Based on reports regarding enemy activity in the area, the skill of Japanese airmen you are expected to face today is considered above average. Japanese training has so far proven to be on par with our own, and your pilots should not underestimate the enemy's capabilities based solely on their previous battle experience. Expect a hard-fought engagement and prepare accordingly to ensure that you make full use of all available tactical options. Adaptability and vigilance will be key to overcoming this able opposition. The weather will be moderately cloudy throughout the day, providing intermittent cover that may help conceal movements and reduce visibility. This could work to our advantage, offering some protection from enemy sight. However, the cloud cover will also limit our ability to track enemy movements from a distance. So remain vigilant and adjust your tactics accordingly. Wind is currently rapidly changing, and the direction in which it will blow at daybreak is uncertain for now. Your objective is to locate and destroy the enemy carrier groups while ensuring they do not inflict significant damage on your own forces. You are expected to retire by the end of the day, maintain discipline, and stay focused, and prioritize the mission's success within the given time frame. Scenario will end at 2200 hours on day 1, and score will be calculated based on the final situation. So we only get 1 day in this particular fight. You can't fool me. You just want more CV targets. If we only have 1 day, it does. You can do random as well. But if you only have 1 day, it does change, especially if you don't know the threat axis. I think it limits. You might only get 1, maybe 2 strikes on the enemy. It's still nighttime, right? I can see the stars on the deck. All right. I wonder if we can. It would be nice if we could start spotting before the sun came up to get our aircraft up. Oh my goodness. What map is this? I see no land. I see no land around us. It's just an open ocean. Okay. So much for this being Coral Sea, I guess. All right. So we need recon. So let's go ahead and do a air search. We don't know where the enemy is going to be. So this is going to be a pretty large air search group. We will do SBDs. They're faster. They cover more ground. So since we don't know where the enemy's going to be, we will do that. What's the widest arc I can do? I don't know where they're going to be, so I need to set a pretty wide arc, right? Oh, that's the angle. All right, so we can have a 360-degree search arc. We need more aircraft though. So I think we'll send up 12 SBDs. I think that's a good enough. I hope that's good enough. 14? It gets pretty far apart when they get way far out there. But carrier task force, shadow priority targets, actually shadow all contacts. These guys will come off the Yorktown. And then I don't know if it makes sense to plan for an airstrike off the Lexington right away. It makes me a little nervous to do that. I'd be inclined to pre-spot on the Lexington to get boys up, but I don't actually know if that's smart. It is if we detect the enemy first. It's not if we don't. So I suppose we'll let the Yorktown do its thing, get its search up. I mean, that's like half of its, well, no, it's like a little bit less than half of its SBDs, which is going to be a bit of a hindrance, but I'd rather they all come off one carrier and the other be fresh. Set altitude to 10,000. I think it's too late. I didn't look at the cloud cover altitude. Can I change the altitude? I can edit. Patrol altitude 10,000. What does it say what the cloud cover is? I didn't see. There is a way you can do that. So if we go to show weather, you can see the cloud markings on here. I don't know if it shows the altitude for the cloud cover. You can also show wind, radar range, AAA range, main battery range. So but I don't know where it says what the altitude of the cloud cover is. I'm not worried about cap right now, Firestarter. I usually do a scramble. So if I have no aircraft ready, then the second that we detect enemy aircraft, we would probably scramble our fighters and then get all of them up, rather than a handful of fighters doing combat air patrol. I suppose the cap would be useful in shooting down enemy recon planes, but they almost always spot me before anything happens, so. Thank you very much for the follow. All right, spotting will start at 5:43. Is it light out? Nope. Oh, it is. Well, it's starting to be. There's that beautiful horizon shot. God, I love the sunrises in this game. It makes me want to join the Navy and see a sunrise on the ocean. I don't really like the idea of a cruise ship, but you know, warships, those are cool. Anyway, you can see them spotting the aircraft. They're bringing these boys back, freeing up the deck for air operations. They should be off by what, 6:05 or so. I can manually turn into the wind while spotting. Could do that. It'd be interesting actually is, aside from turning into the wind just for spotting, perhaps we should just turn into the wind generally, so because then we'll never have to worry about that. We can get aircraft off. We're already kind of heading into the wind, but we can just turn this direction. There, we should be pretty much going with the wind now. And then the fleet won't have to turn into the wind when the time comes. All right, boys. Get your aircraft repositioned. Look at how pretty they are. 3, 3, 3, 3. Are they bringing some up from the hangar deck? Looks like the hangar might be operating. They just clearing the front of the deck by putting those guys down there. These are the recon planes. Hey, Knight. Everything's good? Don't you want to fly against the wind to take off? Oh, yeah, I guess I'm going with the wind to my... Well... Yeah, I'm not turning into the wind. I'm turning with the wind, I suppose. My mistake. Oh well. I was thinking wind at my back would be, but yeah, I guess wind to your front is actually preferable. Like wind in your face. Oh well. The task force will fix it for me anyway. As I go. Now we get the loud noises. Goodbye. You know, this would be cool if you can hear me. It'd be cool if you could play as the Japanese, which you cannot. But if you could play as the Japanese, you know, this would remind me of like, you know, Tora shots. A dawn carrier strike. Cruising off as the sun's rising. Japan never stood a chance. Sort of, yeah. Kaigun certainly makes that opinion. Or at least if they didn't stand a chance, they knew like they didn't stand a chance if the war lasted anywhere near as long as it eventually did. They kind of panicked actually when the Second Naval Act happened. They were like, we've already done everything we can to increase our production and we can't do anything more. And now they're expanding it even further. Dauntless, what, dauntless, what. Good job, boys. Where's Lexington? What's her flight deck look like? Crowded in the front still? I don't understand why you wouldn't move your aircraft back to the rear. All right. Aircraft are off. Or will be shortly. Let's get to like 6:30 so we can see a little bit better. I guess I kind of have to keep going this way though now that these aircraft are off because they think, you know, they think I am going where I'm pointing, so that's where they're going to try and land on me. You can see, obviously, this guy took off first. He's the furthest out. Uh, 30% of American military production devoted to the Pacific, but that depends on what you're looking at. Because if you're considering naval production, then obviously the vast majority of carriers ended up in the Pacific, for example. The U.S. was not deploying 20 Essex-class carriers to the Atlantic. So depends on what you count for production, right? The vast majority of Sherman tanks are going to go to Europe. The vast majority of carriers are going to go to Japan or the Pacific. And then things like landing craft, there's a bit more of a mix there because obviously D-Day takes priority and things like that. But simultaneous to that, they're also running the Marianas campaign, I believe it was. So it's a little bit more of a mixed bag. Certainly a lot of destroyers ended up in the Atlantic too, but major naval combatants definitely skewed heavier to the Pacific. Also, it wasn't always like, 30%. There were times where bombers got diverted during the Guadalcanal campaign to go to help there. But obviously the vast majority of like B-17s went to Europe. B-24s are more of a mixed bag. A lot of those went to the Pacific. So it really depends on what you're talking about. All right, I hope they spot them. I hope we don't get spotted. It should be light out now. There is our ship and lovely sun. All right, boys, I gave you guys a pretty good search arc. I would expect you to spot something, but again, cloud cover could complicate that. Oh, shit. Pause. What just happened? New unidentified surface force bearing 202, range 148 miles. Okay, where? Out this way? 2 of them? Are the carriers in separate task forces? Shit. All right. The enemy hasn't spotted us yet, right? No report of... Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to plan a new strike. 100, that's a long range. I hate the idea of sending these guys in without a cap or without an escort. Can they even make it out this far? I don't think the TBDs can make it there. Warning, nautical miles, 304 nautical mile range. All right, we will turn back so we can hopefully meet the planes on their way back. I think we can get there at 285 nautical miles. What is the range of... If I were to get rid of all these SBDs, what's the range of the fuel reserve? 0%. If we turn in here, what about that? Out of fuel, 845. Are these really just surface forces? I guess we'll have to take a look. 2 heavy cruisers. We'll see. Where does it tell me what the range of my TBD is, though? Fuel reserve is 0%. So they'll be out of fuel at 8:45. So they would be 20 minutes short of the target. It's kind of a long... All right, if we increase the speed of the task force, if we increase the speed of the task force to 30 knots, I don't know why you'd only be moving it. I know for fuel economy, but why on earth would you be only moving it 15 knots? That's not even a combat speed. All right. So if we do this, we will end up... Really? Despite the increased speed, is it not factoring that in yet? Have we not revved up yet? Out of fuel 657. That's still short. I suppose we could switch the target. Would it make a difference? Not really. We're still short. All right, carrier spotted. Let's take a look at this task force. Let's see what's over here. It's in a cloud bank too. All right, so this is one of the enemy carriers. They appear to be landing. We've been detected by an enemy air search asset. That was 10 minutes ago. So the enemy has detected us. Our intel shows that they have detected us. But it doesn't look like their air wing is yet up. This is a mixture of bombers and fighters, so they don't appear to have launched, at least not off this carrier. But it does mean we have to stop dilly-dallying. All right, fuck it. We're not doing torpedo bombers. Our dive bombers can make it. All right, so we'll send 4 escorts out with this group, 22 dive bombers. That's not a lot. That's not enough escorts. Let's send 8. The problem is they're going to be sending a ton of aircraft at us. Out of fuel, 9:45 landing ends, so we will have 15 minutes of spare fuel to go for this target. I assume there's a carrier on both of these task forces. Oh wait, now it says there's one over here too. They haven't changed the look of the formation yet, but let's zoom in here so we can see Akagi. I can already tell by the meatball. Elevator appears to be in use, so they are also not launched yet. So they're still spotting too. Okay. Good news, or good not news, but good to be aware of. All right, so new strike. We will send... Oh shit, did I already order that other strike? I didn't think I finalized that strike. I certainly didn't hit green light. We've got 3 nav strikes planning. Can I delete this strike? I don't know how to... How do I cancel these strikes? Okay. All right, this is the strike we wanted. I don't think I can get the torpedo bombers here. I don't particularly want to send them on a one-way mission to their deaths, so we'll send 22 dive bombers and 8 fighters to get one of the Shokakus or whatever it is. We will do a deferred departure, which means they will go as a group. Offensive power, fuel reserve, they should be good. So we'll greenlight the strike. And then the other strike here. We will switch the target on these boys to this group because we know the Akagi's over here. We'll switch the carrier to the Lexington. We will also send 8 fighters on escort, which is not enough, but it is what it is. And we will send 36 dive bombers out here. They will have 52% fuel reserve. The torpedo bombers claim they can get here now. But that doesn't make sense. Is that over target? 16% fuel reserve. So the landing starts like right as they're out of fuel? I don't, unless that's an average of the group and it just gets pulled down because the dive bombers have enough fuel. There's one way to find out. No, it still says there's a fuel reserve. I don't quite understand that, but anyway, we're not going to sacrifice the torpedo bombers. They're not really going to be very useful anyway. We can always use those TBDs as a second recon flight if we need to. Deferred departure. What's early spotting mean? I don't know. Whatever. I forget what that means, but well, there's no other air operations, so just do standard. I suppose we could have scrambled our fighters first. That might have been the smart move, but given that we know the enemy hasn't spotted yet, doesn't have its aircraft off yet, I think that's fine. And in theory, we could send the SBDs out after. I think the order is going to be get the raids going first. Once the raids are off, scramble the fighters to deal with what almost certainly will be an enemy strike inbound. And then we can worry about... Maybe I should have sent... Can I change the raids altitude here? Or does it just fly a standard profile? It doesn't look like I can change the altitude of the flight. Call sign Jordan Love, ready for the strike. Coming off Yorktown. Hopefully that one goes well. All right. Spotting starts at 7. This is like one of those rare times where it's like running to your aircraft like a maniac on the deck in all the films and whatever. That makes sense because you got to get off the deck as quickly as possible. Turn. Man, that's a hard turn. And you're spotting aircraft during that hard over? Yorktown's out of... Why are they moving aircraft forward, though? Are those torpedo bombers are trying to get out of the way? I'm confused here. What are they doing? I don't understand. Okay. I'm doing deferred departure because I want them to fly as a group. Each raid should go as its own raid. All right. Meanwhile, while we're trying to get into action, what is the enemy carrier group looking like? It still says one. It looks like they've turned into the wind. No, they're turning with the wind. These guys are turned into the wind. So these guys might be launching. That is a dramatic turn. They're definitely launching a raid. Someone said there's a cinematic mode. I don't know what that is, but we're not taking off yet. We're preparing to take off. I don't know what they're waiting for. Mostly dive bombers by the looks of it. A lot of dive bombers. Handful of zeros. All right, they're turning into the wind now too. Maybe they're coordinating their strike to go off as one. I didn't know they could do that, but I don't know how to do it, I guess I would say. Yeah, they're launching. I'm taking so many photos, it's like I'm a tourist. Kaga's such a strikingly, and I think Akagi is too, but in the game we don't have it. It's such a strikingly different looking carrier. All right, where are we at in our air operations? We may see these task forces go right past each other. We're turned into the wind. We're still spotting on the Lexington. Or that's Yorktown. Lexington is almost all spotted up. Not quite launching yet. We should be able to get everybody off before they hit us, though. Unless there's some sort of delay where these aircraft just sit up at the front. Those are the fighters, though. They need less deck space to take off. Torpedo bombers back here because they're not part of this raid. Poor guys. All right, so Lexington is taking off. Yorktown is also. So these strikes are going. Yep, January 27th is what they've said is the release date. And then as soon as these strikes are off, we will scramble fighters. I feel like it's not too like cheating, you know, like obviously I've looked and I can see they're launching. One, maybe my reconnaissance planes over the task force is going to report, hey, an enemy raid is launching. The other potential is that we know we've been detected, so we should scramble fighters anyway. All right. We'll get these aircraft off. We have a date with destiny. I'd prefer if those torpedo bombers were moved under the deck. Can I order that? All fighters to the flight deck? Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I'm going to scramble them anyway, so. Wait, is this Yorktown? That's Yorktown. Lexington's still launching. I'll wait till Lexington's got everybody off before we scramble the fighters. This is custom battle, yeah. Although I'm curious if it said a light carrier was in the intel, but if Kaga's here and Shikaku is, then maybe it isn't like a light carrier. Scramble! Lexington and Yorktown. Wait. All right, boys. No reserved planes for mission. What mission? It shouldn't have to be. It should, Scramble should just put all fighters up. Let's make sure they start. Yep, fighters are coming up. Nice thing is the fighters don't need as much deck space to take off. They're not carrying 1,000-pound bombs. So we're preparing the fighters to receive the enemy raids, which we know are coming. Our own raids are off. Heading toward the enemy. 20 plus, 20 plus. So 2 groups of 20 plus on their way toward us. Okay. Bandits, 20 plus, incoming. 93 miles. I assumed it would be Shoho, but with the fact that Kaga's here, it makes me wonder if they're actually 3 fleet carriers. But I guess we'll see. It's not Hiryu. I know the game has Shokaku and Tsuikaku in it because those were the historical carriers at Coral Sea, and those are in the Coral Sea scenario. But then there's a variant that has the Kaga as like a surprise. Her refit was done early, which, you know, I assumed when I chose 3 carriers, 3 CVs, that that's what would be going up for us here, but all right, these enemy planes are starting to get closer, so I'd prefer if you guys scramble. There you go. Yorktown's getting her fighters off. Lexington is getting her fighters off. Now the question is, will they have enough time and strength to deal with these enemy aircraft that are incoming? There's 2 groups of 20 at least. Could be more. Not worried about the spotter. All right, boys. First things first, let's take a look at our naval strike. McCluskey. We got the fighters out front. Oh, maybe not. Are these bad guys? There's ships below you. Oh no, this is the scramble. Never mind. See quite a few aircraft all over here in this strike. Second nav strike's a bigger raid. Look at all of these aircraft. The escort, I think these are the escorts up top. It's just, this game looks gorgeous. What other game lets you see raids coming in like this? It just looks like a freaking war movie. It's so pretty! There's not a lot for me to do now that all my aircraft are out. But it does look pretty. Yep, up top are the fighters. You can see the raid down here below them, so they are flying top cover. God, it just looks awesome. Look at that down there. It's just too bad our torpedo bombers aren't here. All right. So we've actually already passed the enemy raids. By the looks of it, there are 2 groups of 20 plus coming from the northwest. And one group of 20. Our fighters are scrambling out to go meet them. Are they still launching more aircraft? Why are they still turned into the wind? Or were they always headed this way? No. Maybe they're taking in combat air patrol, not sure. Okay. Fighters are going out. What are they spotting on the Yorktown right now? It says spotting is in progress. Are they just moving the torpedo bombers forward? I really wish they would clear the deck. Is there an order I can give to clear the deck? Get those guys below. You can issue orders all fighters to the flight deck, but they're already gone. There's plenty of room in the hangar below. I just don't see like, you can drag them from the hangar up to the deck, I think. I don't know if you can drag from the deck down to the hangar. Doesn't seem like it. They're prepping to toss them overboard. Well, they are devastators. That might be their best use. If I issue orders all fighters to the flight deck, will these guys go below? I mean, there's no fighters left. That's the problem. Okay, well, at least tell me they don't have torpedoes on them. They're not armed for a strike. Guys, it'd be cool if you were under here in the carrier deck down below. Hello.
Attention, all hands. Air attack underway. Man all torpedo defense stations.
Yeah, maybe get the goddamn planes off the deck. I think this just means we know that the enemy aircraft that are inbound are targeting us. All right. Man all torpedo defense stations. I'm glad we're all scrambling on one enemy raid. All right, let's get these guys. They're about to go in. Scramble, where you at? Lead scramble. He's already evading. How can you be evading? We haven't even dove on the attack yet. Here we go, boys. Let's get him. Enemy raid just below us. Heading in. If these were land-based bombers, I'd probably try and shoot at them myself. Well, you just dove through the formation and accomplished nothing. Good job. Maybe the enemy fighters got pulled off on you. There's a zero streaking down. Come on, boys. You're going to have to shoot these things up before they get to us. We have to tear these raids up or we're doomed. This is obviously the challenge, right? If our dive bombers get in and manage to shut the enemy air operations off, great. But if the enemy does the same to us or sinks us, God forbid, we're screwed. All right, these enemy aircraft are all damaged. You can see all three of these are trailing something. One of them is going down in flames. This guy does not look like he's healthy. He's kind of weaving a bit. A little bit of a furball going on here. An enemy above you or friendly? Can't really tell. Those are friendlies. I can tell now. Oh shit. Zero on your tail. Get out of there. Well, it looks like maybe his wingmen went in on it. Stop shooting at least. We've successfully damaged 4 of these enemy aircraft in this formation up here. Who we're engaging over here. Another enemy aircraft going down. Got one. Can you dive through and get on the front of the formation? It's 1 past 2 planes. They look so cool, just streaming down smoke. Maybe a little too samey, I don't know. But again, they don't have the self-sealing fuel tanks, so they did have a tendency to burn, right? Is the second scramble in on the action yet? They are. So all of our fighters are involved in this fight. We are tearing apart this lead enemy raid. But remember, there's over 60 enemy aircraft incoming. So we may tear up one raid of 20, but there's a whole... Oh, God. That's a lot of smoke. 3, 4 right there. I think one advantage you have if you play this intelligently, or what I would argue is the intelligent way to play, as the sky fills with burning planes, is that... Yes, the Japanese are going to have more maneuverable aircraft, and a 1-to-1 fight, your aircraft are at a disadvantage. However, if you choose, here's our raid still coming in. If you choose to be willing to lose more of your attackers and give them less escorts, then you can get a numerical advantage on these raids, because I can throw 40 fighters up on them and they are not going to have 40 escorts, because they probably have 30, 40 planes back on the carriers providing their own cap. So they might only have, 6 or 7 fighters for 20 bombers, and so then we can just overwhelm them. And they may do damage, as I've seen in my previous games. They definitely do damage, but they don't... It doesn't prevent you from ripping apart enemy formations. Now, this is the first time I've been fighting a battle where all the carriers have their full air wings, because in the scenario we played before, you go in heavily depleted. But, I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking right now. These are Wildcats. F4F Wildcats. Give me some thatched weave. Back and forth, back and forth. With your wingman. Also, it does look like our fighters are doing a good job of staying in formation and flying with their wingmen. I haven't seen any, like, engaging. I mean, we saw some enemy fighters shooting at us at one point. But it really seems like these fighter groups are not losing too badly. It doesn't seem like enemy zeros are, if they must have only had like 3 or 4. I mean, when we saw them stacked up on the deck, I think we saw 4 zeros on the deck. Hello. How are you? Are these the ships down here? Because they're getting close. Take evasive maneuvers. Enemy aircraft are definitely closing. We have not even begun to tear apart this rear attack. The lead attack is in trouble. That's good at least. 1 and 1. So if that's all they have left, great. But these guys are going to need to turn now and go after the guys back here. Cinematic view. Just gets rid of all the tabs. Don't look like we're shooting any flak though.
Captain to all hands. Hold on to something. We're commencing evasive action. Engines, all ahead flank.
Oh, there's the flak over that way. What is coming at me? I wish the contacts tab worked. There's an enemy plane. It looks like they might be diving on our carrier. I wish I could better...
Romeo. Vector 030. 20 miles. Angels high. Romeo. Enemy snooper. Vector 030. 20 miles. Angels high.
I hear like one plane. Or our groups, are we still... Our bombers are starting to search for the target. Plane crashed down here, it looks like. I think we might have destroyed that air attack. There are still 40 more planes up here. Meanwhile, another 20 appear to be heading south. They appear to have just passed our own planes to the rear. Oh, that's a lot of cloud cover to try and see through. Good lord. I don't know if this raid's going to detect them. Where did our first raid go? All right, I don't know if we're going to detect these guys over here with all that cloud cover. Another 40 planes coming? Dear God. At some point, my cap is going to get exhausted. This at least looks more promising in terms of cloud cover. This is the smaller raid. The bigger raid's going for the Kaga, which was in the other direction. Ah. McCormick. Alright, Yorktown's resuming course. I don't think she got hit by anything. No, neither of these. They're both fine for now. They raid 18 miles out. We're not going to probably have enough time for those follow-on strikes to hit the enemy before they hit us. Where is the enemy carriers? I think we've got a... we've got a visual on them. They're sailing away from us. There's 2 CVs here. Are they both the Shokaku class? So Kaga's in its own task force, and then what? The Shokakus are together? Looks like she might be getting ready to take off some, maybe, fighters. They're definitely bringing fighters up on the deck. I don't know how many they've got below. They both are getting fighters ready. So presumably they've spotted my raid. All right, they've got 3 carriers worth of aircraft up in the air right now. Another enemy raid of 20 plus that we're engaging. We're already in flak range. A lot of splashes down here. There's a 0 coming around behind us. This guy's really shot up. Doesn't say he's preparing to ditch, but definitely more fighter cover it would seem on the second raid. Someone's crashing. I didn't see who. It might be one of our fighters. I guess it could be a 0 too. I think at least that one up there is a bomber. Thank you very much for the follow, Legion, and the Prime subs, Cow. Well, there's definitely enemy fighters moving through the formation of dive bombers. Are escorts doing anything? Protect those dive bombers. Enemy raid 9 miles out. Does anybody see anything down here? There's a fighter that just ditched. I don't know if I'd call that getting, I don't know if I'd call that ditching or getting shot down. Got a 0 on your tail, buddy. Alright. There's a 0 right in front of you. Get him! Get him! Get him! Come on! He's right there! Yeah! He lost a wing! Alright. Enemy raids coming in on the carriers. A lot of flak up. Torpedo bombers presumably down here. 3 enemy torpedo bombers coming down. So definitely more in this raid made it through the cap. Or the scramble, whatever you want to call it. Sure hope my bombers are able to get to the enemy. Bombing target. I don't see it. Someone's bombing the target. Some of these guys have ditched. Alright. Oh no, Yorktown hit by 2 bombs. Ah! That doesn't look good. Lexington's also aflame. It looks like her bridge got hit. Well, our dive bomber formation looks like it's kind of been shot up a bit. There's multiple ditched in each one of these. I'm not trying to cut away from the action. I'm trying to see what my bombers are also simultaneously saying they're bombing the target. There's enemy flat tops down here. All right, one pushing over, two pushing over. Here we go, boys. Through a cloud. Pray God, maybe we do just as much damage to them as they've done to us, maybe more. Up we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the sky. Ah! There's a enemy zero taking off literally as we're dropping. That's gonna miss. God damn it. Yes! Hit right there. Amidship right on the elevator. At least one bomb in. Near miss. More near misses. More near misses. Looks like the other carrier is also ablaze. I'm assuming that at least shuts their Yorktown is hit by a torpedo. Fuck. At least 2 bomb hits on this guy. More near misses. I'm assuming some of these are 100-pounders, but I see at least 2 good hits on this carrier. I don't think either of these sank it, but I think they did damage to it. What about my own carriers? Yorktown's not in good shape. Looks like 2 bombs, and then we also took at least 1 torpedo. Flood damage, fire damage is critical. Yorktown has a fire on her bridge, but I don't think that is a problem for carrier ops. Maybe it is. But that can be tended to. All right, both air wings are wrecked, but there's another 60 aircraft coming in. How about the raid on the Kaga? These guys drop yet, or are they still? These guys have not dropped yet. I don't think they've spotted the Kaga yet. Much larger raid here. Well, there's flak. I see it down here. She's down here. There are 3 carriers, yes. Versus R2. There's the Shokaku and the Tsuikaku that we were just bombing, and we put, I think, 1 bomb into one of them and 2 into the other. Meanwhile, we've got the Akagi down here. I hope these guys see it. It's kind of covered by cloud cover, but there's flak. You'd think they'd be like, oh, well, we know they're here, so... Guys, do you see this right over here, just below your wing? I sure hope they spot it. If they fly right by and don't attack it, I'm going to be pissed. Bombing target. All right, they've got it. Look at all these planes. I kind of feel bad for the Kaga. 40 dive bombers versus just her. Look at this. All of these guys are lining up to drop bombs on her. Jesus. There's a 0 that just flew up between us. We do have some escorts that should do some work. There's another 0 right over there. Big strikes just look so freaking cool. There's a 0. Tail gunner, get it. There's one going down. He's going after our lead. I still have fighters here somewhere, right? There should be escorts for this raid. They're pushing over. This should be interesting. A lot of planes on fire, but too many are pushing over to stop us. I can see the meatball through the clouds. Look at all these guys coming in ahead of us. We should have a nice view from behind. Well, it's going to get blacked out by clouds for a second. Here we go. Look at all those bombs. A bunch of them, because of the turn, I think dropped long. There's a hit. So many misses. So many misses. A second big hit. Third big hit. It's at least a 4th big hit. Jesus. So much water. You can't even see the damn thing. At least 4 big fires on her deck. Is that everybody? Did everybody drop in that one wave of planes pushing over, or do we have any more coming in? First section of the bombing raid all ditched. Second section ditched. Third section ditched. That's a lot of dive bombers down. I think that's everybody. I think they all dropped. The escorts, you didn't really do a very good job. Another enemy raid that we're engaging here, I believe, with our fighters. What are we looking at? You guys are engaging these guys on the way out. Is there anybody still coming in? There's 20, 20, and 20 all coming in. So we definitely damaged the 2 carriers over here. And then I think the Akagi's in serious trouble. One, two, three, four, five big explosions, fires I see on her deck. More than that number of craters. I would think she's in serious trouble. I can't see into her flight deck, but they're not launching aircraft off her anytime soon. We'll put it that way. They do have 2 other fleet carriers, though. All right, what's our... So we still have 110 aircraft left. Out of those 80 dive bombers that went in, it looks like we lost 26 of them. So we still have 54 if we can get off another raid. We also basically have our full complement of torpedo bombers. Granted, the Yorktown is pretty much out of the fight. Well, maybe not. How did they... That flight deck does not look operational, but apparently aircraft are landing. American damage control does wonders. Lexington's flight deck, much better shape. Aircraft are also landing on her. I'm assuming some of these are cap or maybe recon planes coming back. Maybe, Sean. Maybe. All right, so we got a bunch of fighters still fighting out here. There's another raid of 20, 20, and 20, so that's not good. Hey guys, stop shooting at the planes that are retreating and start shooting at the planes that are coming in. I don't know how many rounds of ammo you got left in your plane, but you're going to have to try and break up another carrier worth of planes. You think I'm doomed? How dare you, sir? How dare you? Oh, zero on there? Oh, nope, that was a torpedo bomber. I don't know that they had any torpedoes left. Looks like they've already dropped, but you got one. Engaging target. Who are you engaging? Are you being a fighter? Because my Dauntlesses want to dig into those enemy aircraft, I guess. Oh, they're not. You're not engaging. You know, I don't really want you pursuing these guys. I want you going for the new raids coming in. I don't have any fighters left on my carriers. I suppose the hope is that the enemy decides to... Oh my god. Really? You got yourself killed by the rear gunner of a fucking Val with no bomb on it? You suck, Gaylor. You suck. Are any of these guys engaging the new formations? Or are the enemy formations going to come in unopposed? There's at least fighters around here. These guys are dive bombers. I see a few smoke trails indicating someone's getting shot down. But that is a very put together set of formations here. It is concerning. We got tail numbers. EL209. Are they all the same? EL208. Or is it EI? 218. Someone's doing something over there. So Yorktown was targeted by a torpedo attack, but the enemy air attack is over. So that's good, at least. That air attack doesn't look like it did much, whatever the most recent aircraft was. Yeah, I don't know about experience accrual great because they're individual scenarios, but there are skill levels for carrier air groups. It looked like there were friendly fighters coming in. That's a friendly going down. Goddamn zeros. Wait, that's not a zero. Is it? Doesn't look like a zero. Yeah, I think you're dying. Yeah, you bailed. Okay. Oh, there's one of the enemy formations. I don't know how many planes are left, but of yours. But do your work. F4F, do your work. There you go. Got one. Nice pass. You're the only fighter left in your section. You are dealing with enemy fighters, which is not really what I want you to be dealing with. I understand why you wouldn't just ignore them and let them shoot you, but got some nice hits there. Definitely damaged that enemy fighter. I'm not sure it mattered. Watch him just put on the air brake and drop in behind you. Oh, you crashed. Another fighter down. It's just gonna be the one guy trying to become an ace, trying to tear apart this formation. Where's Dick Bong when you need him? I could use some Corsair too. Or P-38s. You got killed by a tail gunner. Oh my god. Guys, why do you suck? They must be out of ammo or fuel or something, because it looks like some of these fighters are landing. Man, that's some evasive maneuvering there. These cruisers cutting across the... Oh, that does not look good. Guys? I sure hope that collisions aren't on. Ah! Haha, they're not. It would appear that they can go right through each other. Ah! Okay. It's all an optical illusion to fool the Japanese, that's all. You're gonna go right through them too. Why, if you can go straight through, why not go through on an angle? Whee! It is funny that the shadow shows up on the carrier. Okay, Yorktown is aircraft are landing in the Yorktown. I guess it'd be better if they target the Yorktown, but that's the Philadelphia experiment. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Ready on the air attacks. What's still coming through? 10 plus. 10 plus. 10 plus. 20 plus. So they've done some attrition. Yeah, let's see if we can follow one of these Japanese raids in. Dive bombers. There's the ships down there. Looks like these guys are targeting Yorktown by it saying Yorktown's evading or engaging enemy aircraft, general quarters in the Yorktown, air defense stations on the Yorktown. I'm assuming that means they're going for the Yorktown. Carriers are turning, at least one of them is turning in circles over here. I chose 2 carriers for me, 3 for the enemy. The enemy did put a torpedo into the Yorktown, so we know at least some of the raids have been torpedo bombers. These guys are definitely dive bombers. You can see the bombs slung underneath them. Forming up for the attack. The big circle aircraft. I always like to pick an aircraft kind of near the rear of the attack because I like to see the attack unfold ahead of me. There won't be enough time for me to get a good shot of like multiple aircraft diving. So if I can take the rear, then I can. Why is this one aircraft going straight? Is that a carrier maybe launching aircraft? Or retrieving them? I don't think we're attacking it, but I don't want to click off and go look because you got to kind of seek and you shall find. Something about a torpedo attack. Yep, someone dropped torpedoes. There's definitely torpedo attacks occurring. I assumed these guys were going to dive soon, but... Yorktown and Lexington are down here. See tracers hitting the ground. I assume those dive bombers are going to make a bombing run, but it seems like they passed us a little bit, so maybe they're going to come back, but Yorktown's trying to reverse her turn. I assume that means they see torpedoes in the water. Shit. Those guys are in real low. Fuck. We just wrecked an enemy torpedo squadron, but you can see the fish in the water. They're coming. They're gonna pass just to our left. You can just faintly see the trails, the wake trails over there. I don't see anything behind us, so that's good. Maybe don't. I sure hope you're not going to reverse your turn into these fish. That I would have. If you turn much more that direction, you got to turn back the other way. Okay. Phew. Yeah, there's 4 fish off that side. What are you doing, Lexington? Let them pass before you turn back into them. I don't really care about the escorts. Fuck. Was that a bomb? 2? Maybe that's what you're trying to avoid, dive bombers? Their first 2 bombs dropped, hit. 3rd hit. Three bombs hit. They do carry lighter bombs, right? 250 kilogram. That's what, like a 700-pound bomb? Yorktown's getting straddled. Another bomb hit into Yorktown. Another bomb hit. 2 bomb hits into Yorktown. They just restored her flight ops. Yorktown or Lexington only took 2. It's the 3rd bomb into her, but I think she's generally okay-ish. Yorktown's in some trouble. Collision detection is working with bombs, yes. At least the torpedoes, more bombs are hitting or are straddling. Another bomb hit on the front. Lexington destroyed at least 1 torpedo bomber sitting there. Maybe 2 bomb hits on the front there, really. Multiple planes are like flipped. Just saying, I tried to order you guys to put your planes below deck. Oh, we sure are eating a lot of bombs from these enemy raids. These guys coming in too. God damn it. What was that, like 2 or 3 more? Yorktown's in trouble. I literally saw the bomb streak across my monitor a split second before it hit. Ugh. Oh, okay. So they carry closer to 500-pound bomb. My bad. I don't know why I thought it was a 700. I think maybe what was 700 were the bombs they carried at Pearl that were like converted converted battleship shells, maybe? All right, well, they put one of the fires out. The Japanese dive bombers use 250 kilogram bombs, which are actually closer to 500 pound, like 550, I think. I'm not a, I'm sorry, metric system, you suck. Just saying. Imperial all the way. I ain't no scientist. I got no use for metric. Strategery.
We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
I think that's pretty much all. I think that's all the enemy raids. I pray that's all the enemy raids. It looks like it's just scattered enemy aircraft at this point. Never mind. 20 more coming. Well, that was 19 minutes ago. That was probably one of the raids that already hit. All right. Great. So what do we have left to do anything with? We have 90 aircraft. 16 fighters is all we have left. That's great. 48 dive bombers and 26 torpedo bombers. Apparently they didn't destroy any of the torpedo bombers with their bomb hits. Maybe they got 4 of them. Yorktown's not doing flight ops anytime soon. It says air ops are in progress, but I don't believe that. I think they're both too damaged to do anything right now. I think we've got to wait. I assume that's probably true. The enemy. The one saving grace, I think anyway, is I believe the Japanese dive bomber bombs. I mean, a 500 pounder is not anything to sneeze at, but it's not a 1,000 pounder. The Dauntless's bombs were, I believe, much more devastating than what you would see coming out of. I think the Japanese torpedo bombers were great. The Japanese dive bombers were accurate, but their bomb, I believe, was a little underpowered. That's my layman's understanding. The 16-inch shells were 1,500 pounds? Okay, well, I thought they had a 900-pound AP bomb that was used at Pearl only. Maybe not 750. But I'm basing that solely off of the fact that you get those in the December 7th scenario of War in the Pacific. 2 bombs just straddled Yorktown. I didn't see anyone who launched them. Or were they planes? Nope, those are planes. Those were... One was a Devastator and one was an F4. They both just crashed. Did they try and land or something? Did they run out of fuel? Well, we're down from 16 to 13 fighters. And 26 to 25 torpedo bombers. Okay. Maybe the fire on the deck is doing damage and these... another one's about to go overboard. What is this guy doing? He's not strapped down, that's for sure. Oh, psh. Is the fire spreading or something? What's going on there? Anyway. Well, I think we need to take stock. We're gonna have to fast forward a little bit too, because our flight deck is not operational. But we've been going for almost 2 hours, so I think we're gonna wrap up here. I do appreciate you guys tuning in for yet another stream. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and save this and we will come back to it. But much less of a decisive effort than when we played this scenario previously. That being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in for yet another stream of Task Force Admiral. I hope you guys did enjoy it. And until next time, well, actually, first, is there anyone we should be rating? All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out. And to all the subs and followers and all that, thank you. Cowkick, I saw that you resubbed about 45 minutes ago. I must have missed that, but thank you for that as well. Appreciate the support and all that.